you should hire a lawyer in the state of Illinois can feel overwhelming for those of us who have never been in a situation where we even need to entertain the idea. Luckily, I have just the man to answer some of those questions. I'm joined by Mark Schuman of Schuman Legal, a leading personal injury law firm based in the heart of Chicago that opened its doors in 1996 and has successfully represented more than 25,000 injured victims. Mark,
Hello,
I'm excited.
hello, Michelle.
Hello.
Nice to be here.
How are you? Good.
Great.
Now, before we even get started, I'd like you to debunk a myth for me. Is an attorney the same as a lawyer?
Heard that question quite a bit. So the answer is they're commonly interchanged. Technically, they're different. People call a lawyer an attorney and vice versa. A lawyer is someone who went to school and got a law degree. They can do certain things such as prepare a will or review a contract or give some legal advice. But an attorney, technically called an attorney at law, is someone who actually took the state bar exam and passed it so that they can go to court. So instead of just preparing a will, they can actually go to court and fight a will contest, or they can contest a divorce, or in our case, go to court to handle a personal injury claim. So it seems like most lawyers call themselves attorneys and most of the public calls lawyers, but they are the same thing essentially.
And now we know.
Exactly.
So walk us through the basics first. What do lawyers typically do?
Well, they give legal advice on either civil or criminal cases. Again, it could be preparing documents. In our case, potentially going to court. Mm-hmm. So in a personal injury case, handling a case from trying to get it settled, or if need be, go to court to get someone their benefits on their medical bills, on their past for pain and suffering, lost wages, things like that. Criminal case, again, it depends on the type of case, but it's anything from giving advice to going to court to handle a claim.
And taking all that into consideration, when someone has been involved in a personal injury of any kind, mm-hmm. What are the benefits of having a lawyer?
A lot. Insurance companies, they're not on your side. In my business, in personal injury case, in a car accident case, for example, the insurance company will call right away. And if it's not a contested case, such as a rear-end car accident, they'll agree to fix the car because there's very little negotiation. If your car has $2,000 of property damage, they're going to write a check to the body shop or the person for $2,000. But when it comes to someone's pain and suffering, that's where it gets tricky. Is someone's pain and suffering worth $1, $1,000, $100,000 or more? So the insurance companies are not on your side. People need a lawyer to help them make sure they get their benefits, because the insurance companies aren't going to help you with that, to make sure you get your proper medical bills, to make sure that you're properly compensated for lost wages, as well as your pain and suffering, interruption of your life, things like that, and any future pain and suffering, medical bills, lost wages.
Right. I do have to ask though, in reference to the media and Hollywood, I think there's a preconceived notion about lawyers in general. Does hiring a lawyer make you look guilty?
Oh no, I think quite the opposite is true. A lot of times, and we get it all the time, clients call me and try to handle cases themselves, and almost every time the insurance company does something to try to take advantage of them. Even on property damage, sometimes they'll try to claim, especially with some of the bad insurance companies, that there's prior damage, so they try not to even pay the full value of the car. Certainly with not allowing them or telling them about the treatment they're entitled to. In personal injury and workers' compensation claims that we handle a significant amount, they won't tell the client that they have a right to pick their own doctor, for example, when that's the law, is you can choose your own doctor. So they will really take advantage of people. And a lot of times where the client's getting screwed around by the adjuster, as soon as we get involved in the case, all of a sudden things are done the way they're supposed to. And in fact, sometimes there are some companies where if the person is unrepresented, they go to the most junior, the brand new adjusters. They'll handle the people that are by themselves. And as soon as they get an attorney, it goes to the more senior adjusters, because they know they have to do it properly and they have to dot their I's and cross their T's. So no, I don't think that's true at all. and statistically, 95+% of our cases settle. So unlike some other types of law where, let's say a divorce, where it's usually, contested a lot, the vast majority of our cases we are able to settle at some point. So no, I don't think it's a bad thing at all to get an attorney.
Well, that makes perfect sense. One thing that I have always wondered about is, how do I know when to make that call? When should I hire an attorney?
For our business, personal injury claims, I recommend the sooner the better. And here's why. Unlike other types, if you hire a divorce lawyer or a real estate or a criminal lawyer, you have to come up with a down payment or retainer fee, and then you're paying by the hour. Fortunately, the way the personal injury business is set up universally, it's called a contingent fee. So what that means is you don't pay anything until we get you money. So it's a huge advantage to get involved early, because I'd rather make sure the case is done properly from day one, make sure the person gets their car fixed in a car accident. In bigger cases, we just took on a truck case where there's a fatality. We hire an accident reconstruction expert immediately who going out to the scene and take measurements and preserve the evidence. So it's critical in that case. If they waited, it could have damaged the case. So there's no disadvantage in our business. I tell people, you're better off hiring us on day one, because you're going to pay the same fee whether we come in on day one or come in the day before it settles, because it's based on a percentage of what we get, which is universal. It's a huge advantage to get someone right away and make sure, and also we can give them guidance on making sure they get their medical care and everything else about the case. So bottom line, I'd recommend getting someone as soon as possible.
Is it better to hire a local attorney?
Not in our business, personal injury, no. Maybe in some types of law where they need the local attorneys who deal with the judges. We have clients all over the state of Illinois, and we have clients across the country. So the way the world is now, everything's done. Most of what's done in our business is mail, fax, phone, email. The adjusters also aren't local. The adjusters are all over the country. So I'm in Chicago. Whether you're 2 blocks away in Chicago or all the way at the southern tip of Illinois, where we've got a couple cases, the case is treated exactly the same. If a lawsuit has to be filed, we file in the local county. So I tell my clients they don't ever have to come to Chicago. I mean, they're certainly welcome. We've got nice offices, happy to see them. But we come to them. If a case has to have a lawsuit filed, we will file in the county where they live. So there's absolutely no disadvantage of us being here and the clients being there. For the out-of-state cases, it depends on the case. Sometimes we retain local counsel if need be, if it's a lawsuit, to go to court. But again, the files are handled exactly the same, whether they are in Chicago, where our main office is, or anywhere else.
So hypothetically speaking, if I've been in an accident and suffered a personal injury, how do I find a lawyer in Chicago?
I always tell people, obviously people try to get personal referrals if they've talked to someone who's dealt with an attorney and has a good reputation or had a good experience with that attorney. If you don't know an attorney, you can always go to Google, and I would look at the attorney's reviews and see what other people are saying about the attorney. You may want to also check the Attorney Registration and Disciplinary Commission and make sure there's no active claims against the attorney. That's something you may want to know if there's problems. Other people have had problems.
Right.
And then talk to the attorney. See if you develop a rapport. See if they're answering your questions. See if what they're going to do for you and what they tell you about the life of a case and what's going to happen. And if you feel comfortable, that's what I would do. And if you don't, I would definitely talk to someone else until you feel like you have a good fit, because you have one shot at this. I always tell people, and you want to make sure you have someone who's going to actively be working for you and someone who knows what they're doing. I would also say, get someone who deals specifically with your type of area. If you have a personal injury case, I would recommend having someone who deals with personal injury cases exclusively. The jack of all trades, I don't know. I'm good at what I do, and I think I'm not comfortable if someone came up to me for a real estate or a divorce case. I would give them someone that I know. I stick to what I do because I do it well, and I've been doing it for a long time.
Well, that definitely feels right.
Thank you.
I guess the last $1 million question, and you sort of touched on it, but I'll ask you to touch on it a little bit more, is what should I look for when choosing a lawyer?
What should you look for? Again, I would look at the experience level. Are they handling people always ask me because they talk to a lawyer who does a little of this and a little of that. And I'm not out to disparage any attorney, good for them. But if I have a heart problem, I tell my clients, I don't go to a foot doctor. Who would you rather have operating on you? Someone who does heart surgeries, 2 to 5 or 10 a week, or someone who does a couple in their career? It's
Right.
the same with this. There's a lot of ins and outs to these types of law. Motorcycle and truck cases are complicated. Workers' compensation claims are statutory, so there's a lot of rules involved. Even personal injury case, there's a lot of ins and outs, and someone who does it day after day after day is likely going to be up on the law and know all the little nuances that are involved to maximize a claim. So I'd strongly recommend, especially if you have a serious injury, deal with someone who does this exclusively. You're going to have someone who knows what they're talking about. And again, it's all about rapport. Ask the questions you have. We offer a free consultation, no obligation. I tell clients they can call me on the phone, ask me whatever they want. I'll answer all their questions. And if they don't want to hire me, it doesn't cost them a penny. And I will answer everything right on the phone. I have even before COVID. Obviously, COVID things are different now, but even beforehand, I'll spend as much time to make sure that they have all their questions answered, that they know that I know what I'm talking about. And I will tell them in our first conversation exactly what's going to happen during the life of the case. Talk about the treatment and the options and what happens afterward. And even the contingencies, meaning what happens if we can't settle. And I'll tell them all about the lawsuit process. So they know exactly what we're dealing with from A to Z. And I think that's it. I think when a client hangs up talking to our firm, they feel like they have their questions answered. They know exactly what to expect from us. And I think that's why, most people that call end up hiring us, because they know exactly what they're getting.
Well, I feel like you've answered all my questions.
Good.
Of course, you also have a wealth of helpful articles and information on your website.
We do.
Tell people where they can find you.
So you can go to schumanlegal.com, SHUMANLEGAL.com. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So yes, please check out our videos, look at our reviews. You can text us, you can call. Always happy to talk to you anytime. And again, it's always a free consultation. And if nothing else, I'll give you some free advice.
Well, that's fantastic. Mark, thank you so much for taking the time to answer these questions. I'm sure others will find it as helpful as I did.
Been my pleasure. Anytime. Thanks.
Thanks.